What's going on YouTube? So just a couple months ago, we first previewed the all-new Kia K4, the brand's new compact sedan and replacement for the Forte. And now it's already available, and we're excited to give you guys one of the first full reviews on YouTube. So is this super stylish and affordable sedan ready to take on Civic and Corolla head-to-head? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's go ahead and get things started under the hood. So there's going to be two different engine options for this new Kia K4. We have the standard one that's on most of the trim levels. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It makes 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. Now the GT Turbo model, that is going to of course come with a turbocharged engine. We'll talk more about that during the test drive. As far as your transmission on this one, you have a CVT, and then you get 33 miles per gallon combined.
Now, of course, we can't wait to show you what this all-new K4 is like out on the road in the test drive. We'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading, and after that, discussing potential resale and reliability.
But of course, let's go ahead and close up the hood, because this K4 has a very distinct exterior as well as interior, and we need to talk about those things. Now, like I was just saying, this new K4 really focuses a lot on design. It's got a very bold interpretation of the latest Kia Opposites United design language, and really stands out a lot, I think, against many of the competitors, which are more on the bland side. Now, that excitement is going to start out up here in the front. So we do have the latest rendition of your Tiger Nose grille. This version is going to give you some little silver accents, and I do want to talk briefly about the trim levels. This is going to be available in 5 different trim levels. This is the EX trim level today. It's kind of in the middle of the lineup, very value packed. And the 2 GT line trim levels, those are not yet available at dealerships as far as I can tell. So this is going to be the top model for the time being. Now, let's talk about the lighting though, because this is very premium. And this is standard across the board. So we have full LED headlights. As you can see, we've got the stacked crystal design. These are reflector LEDs. And like I said, it is standard on all models except projectors on your top GT line turbo. We also have the super distinct daytime running light and turn signal indicator, which goes all through here, which really also makes this vehicle stand out a lot at night. And then as far as the rear design is concerned, it continues to have that very unique look that the front end sets up.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mix of what the K5 is, maybe a little bit of sportback elements as well. I really kind of like it here in person. Now, Drew's going to go ahead and hop inside, and we're going to check out all of the individual elements of this K4. So as you can see, when it comes to the taillights, we check and see if all the elements are LED. We do have an incandescent brake light, turn signal, and then our reverse light is down here. That's also going to be incandescent, so none of the taillight elements besides for the accenting are going to be LED unless you choose a turbo model. That'll get you the LED componentry. Now, as we drop down to this lower fascia, this is going to be pretty aggressive for a sedan, as you might expect. We do not have exposed exhaust outlets though, so keep that in mind.
Now, moving on to our wheels, you are going to have a wide assortment of options. Each trim level is going to get a different design, beginning at 16 inches and moving up to 18 inches. Now, this middle of the road EX comes with these 17-inch contrast alloy wheels. As you can see, really distinct design on board. I think they're very premium looking, with a mostly gloss black finish and your nice accenting along the outside edges. Now, I also want to point out you have a little bit of matte black trim around the wheel arches as well as the lower part of the body. And then as we come up here to our mirrors, you are going to have standard heating. And if you choose anything except for the base LX trim level, you also get blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert.
Now, at the side of the K4, you're going to see a very unique design, and really the main reason why it has such a unique design is actually that we don't have rear door handles. They're actually integrated up here, kind of in the glass part, which is something we've seen before on some SUVs, but this may be the first sedan that I've seen that has integrated that. Now, as far as the vehicle's overall length, we're looking at about 185 inches, which actually places this as a couple inches longer than its main competition, like Civic and Corolla. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, I also want to point this out. You're going to get every single one of them as standard equipment, including adaptive cruise control, even on your base model. Now, additionally, you can get features like Highway Drive Assist 1.0 and even Highway Drive Assist 2.0 as you move up the trim structure. But guys, there's going to be an even more impressive cabin on the inside, so let's dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, let's go ahead and see what we have on the inside. First, of course, though, we need to take a look at the key fob. This is the latest and greatest Kia key fob. Your buttons here on the side. You do actually have a standard smart entry system and remote start, even on the base model, so that's really nice. And then getting inside the vehicle itself, there's not a sensor behind the handle, so you're just going to press that black button there, and that will unlock the door. Now, taking a look at the interior. Just like with the exterior design, Kia's really thrown in a lot of unique elements inside of this cabin to make it stand out versus the competition. Before we get into all the individual features and technology, though, let's go ahead and talk about our seats. So, of course, as you can see with this EX trim level, we do have what is known as an upgraded cloth. So this is going to be a little bit softer than what you get in the LX trims. Definitely, as I'm touching it here, it does have a nice soft texture to it. Also, it has a little bit of a special design to the overall finish. And you can get this in a black and gray combination, which is what we have, or you can actually get a unique green and black combination if you prefer a little bit more color. And of course, you can get faux leather on your upper end trim levels as well. Also, as you can see, these seats are going to be manually adjusting. If you want a power seat, that is also going to be available, but you're going to need to get the GT line. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, closing up the door, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the cabin materials. Now, like I said, this EX is mid-level, which makes me all the more impressed by the material selections that Kia made. Over here on our door trim, we do have a nice leatherette padding. The center section is going to be finished in the same cloth as the seats, and then the top part of the door trim is all going to be a padded soft touch plastic. As we move to the upper dashboard, again, all of this will be a soft touch plastic. We have kind of a black textured trim through there, a little bit of a shiny gray plastic that runs through the middle there for a little bit of accenting, as well as down through here. This, of course, is not going to be padded. We don't expect that in this segment of vehicle, but everything does feel nice and solid. Our push-button start is located actually next to the shifter on the console. And now that it's all fired up, really the first thing that's going to get your attention is right here. We've got this huge display setup. It's a dual screen arrangement, and as you can see, it's really very impressive, especially when you know the price that this vehicle costs. So the EX trim level is going to get you this full digital gauge cluster, so you can customize several different elements inside of there. Also, it does change designs a little bit when you change drive modes as well. And overall, like I said, just very, very premium for a vehicle in this segment. You also get the blind spot camera system on your top spec trim. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, here's one of the more controversial elements of the interior. As you can see, we've got a two-spoke steering wheel. It's also a squared-off design, so it's flat at the bottom, and also kind of flat at the top as well. This is going to give you the leather wrapping here on the EX trim level, and of course it is manual tilt and telescoping. Your logo is a little off to the right-hand side there, which might annoy you if you're obsessive compulsive. And then let's go ahead and take a look at our center storage here. So of course, this is Car Confections. We like to do the donut test here to see the volume of the center console. And inside of here, we can fit 8 donuts. That is a pretty nice performance for a compact sedan. That's not all the storage though. As you can see, you've got a very large area right here. These are actually your cup holders. So you just press that button there. That brings them into being a cup holder, or you can retract them and just use it as general storage. Up in front of that, you have another nice storage cubby, and this is going to give you a wireless phone charging pad starting at this EX trim level. Now, as we pull back to the shifter here, as you can see, it's got a nice squared off look to it. just pull back forward drive. You can bump over here to the left if you want to shift through some simulated gear changes. There are no paddle shifters on the steering wheel for this model. Then as we go into reverse, you're going to see our standard backup camera. Nice clear resolution on board with this. We also have active trajectory as well as distance markers. I also want to point out that you can even get a 360-degree surround view camera as optional on that top-end GT line turbo. You have an electronic parking brake with brake hold as well. And let's go ahead and shift our attention to this area. So the climate controls are going to be quite unique compared to what you get with the Kia K5. And that's because you have some physical controls here, but you also have a display right there in between these two main 12.3-inch displays. This measures in about 5 inches. And when you make adjustments with the physical controls to your temperature, you're going to see that reflected up there. This is where you can make your own adjustments to things like your zones as well as your fan speeds, but most of the time, of course, you're just going to be using these physical controls down there. Now, above that, you also have a row of audio controls. So on board with this model, we have a 6-speaker sound system. There is an available Harman Kardon sound system on your very top-end model, but let's go ahead and give the 6-speaker sound system a sample. Now, obviously, this is not a high-end sound system, so if you're a big audiophile, you're going to want to choose the top-end trim level and get the Harman Kardon sound system. However, this sound system is perfectly adequate. It's actually better than average for most vehicles in this segment. All right, let's turn our attention now to this part of the display system. So like I said, we basically have 3 displays running across here. This side is 12.3 inches, and this is standard on all models. So that is very, very impressive to see this as standard equipment. Very large screen size compared to most of your competition. Also, another nice standard feature we have on board is the fact that we have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So finally, Kia is integrating this on most of their models, and as you can see, I'm not physically connected to the Android Auto system. Now, as I go back to their infotainment system itself, this is the new CCNC, so that means we have really fast performance. We've got the latest graphics on board. Pairing your phone is as simple as like 10 seconds, and obviously we don't have built-in navigation on this, but you can get it on your upper-end models. Rising above here, we've got a manual dimming mirror. And then, like I mentioned, this is the EX trim level, so this is not going to come with a sunroof, but one is available on your GT line.
Now let's dive into the rear seat area of the new Kia K4. Now this area I'm very excited to talk about because we have some really impressive space figures. So let's just go ahead and mention that first. 38 inches of legroom and 37.3 inches of headroom. Kia actually claims this is the biggest option in the entire segment. I have to say, I believe their claim because I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and look at how much knee room I have. I have 8 inches of additional knee space with that seat adjustment, and I can also slide my feet up underneath of the seat. Guys, I think this is pretty much about the same size as a Kia K5. Actually, on paper, I think it might be bigger than a K5. Now, as far as the features are concerned, we do not have vents. Those are available on your high-end K4 examples. Dropping below that, we do have 2 charging USB ports, though, and a little storage cubby, so I'm happy about that. Here on the EX, we are missing out on an armrest. Of course, that is also available on higher-end examples. Do note, though, that heated rear seats are not available on any version. Now, let's turn over to your door trim. Your door trim is going to be cheaper than the front one, so you do have hard touch all through here. We do keep some cloth, as well as a padded armrest. And then down at the bottom, you have quite a big bottle storage. It actually is big enough to fit a full Stanley water bottle here, which is very good because, of course, you don't have the center armrest with cup holders inside. Now, walking up to the trunk, you do have this button to release it, or you can also just use the smart opening ability where it'll beep a couple times and open up. As far as the space figures are concerned back here, 14.6 cubic feet is what you're sitting at for this all-new K4, and that's a really good amount of space, guys. It's actually one of the largest in the segment. It's just slightly behind what the Civic is, and really it's on par with a lot of mid-size sedans as well. Now let's talk about some of the features you're going to get back here. The seats do fold 60-40 split folding, and one of the things we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is get cargo length, width, and height figures. From here on the left side, we're looking at 44 inches of cargo length. If I can get my tape measure unstuck there, we'll get the width. That's coming in at 40 inches wide. And then as far as cargo height, it comes in at 22 inches tall. Underneath of the floor, you will find a spare tire as well. I also like this touch. You can just use that little handle to fully shut up the trunk. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Kia K4. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting our sound level reading so you can see how quiet this all-new model is. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Alright, so that was our acceleration to 60 miles per hour. And like we said at the spec dump, you've got two different powertrains on this, but the vast majority of people and the trims they select are going to be powered by this 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It's naturally aspirated and it makes 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. Obviously, those are not huge numbers, and that is what we expect for this segment. Typically, vehicles are going to be lower powered in this class. That's about right in line with the Civic and Corolla as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This is, as a standard option in this compact segment, is perfectly an adequate power figure. And I think for most people, just driving around the daily, that acceleration there, that second one, really just exemplifies that, normal driving, going to be perfectly fine. However, if you are a person that really wants that additional performance, Kia does have an option for you. That's going to be the turbo model. It is optional on the GT line trim level only, so keep that in mind, though. You can't get like an EX turbo. That's going to be a 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder, 190 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. So certainly that's going to boost your performance up a little bit. It's not going to be like crazy performance like an Elantra N, for instance. However, it is going to definitely give you a little bit more of a traditional feel, a little bit of a sportier characteristic.
Yeah, at about half throttle, honestly, is kind of the sweet spot because it feels just about as powerful at half throttle as it does at full throttle. Part of the thing that makes it feel responsive is the fact that Kia has done a good job of tuning the continuously variable transmission. So the partner for this is the CVT, and it's nice and responsive. As soon as you put your foot down, gets you nice power. You're also probably noticing the fact that it does have shift simulation, and unlike some of the competition, you don't have to stomp it to the ground to get the shift simulation. Even at the partial throttle, like I was just going, it is going to be able to give you that shift simulation for a more traditional feel. Now, if you just want to get a traditional transmission, go ahead and get that GT Line Turbo, because that is going to be paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission.
But now let's go ahead and discuss ride quality for this K4. Now, this is one area that I've been pretty impressed with in the time that we've been able to be with this vehicle. We're about to hit a bump in the road, and that will exemplify the fact that we have quite good ride quality for this segment. I also find these cloth seats to be quite comfortable, which is something that cannot be said about a lot of things in this price point, that's for sure. The 17-inch wheels on the outside, I think, are also a good pairing with the suspension setup overall. All right, but you know what time it is. It's time for us to get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour in this new Kia K4. I'm going to go ahead and toggle it down to fan speed 1, and we'll get that rating. 55.9 decibels is what we are sitting at in this new Kia K4 as far as our sound level reading. I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the competition. I can find that on carconfections.com/sound level readings, where we post all the cars that we review on this channel.
Oh, I can definitely tell this is really quiet in here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I already know that that is a very good reading, especially for this segment. And wow, that is a very good sound level reading. That actually puts it in the top options in the segment. It's going to be quieter than what you will find on a Civic by a substantial amount, as well as even the Toyota Corolla. Really, the only options that it's not going to be better than would be like a Volkswagen Jetta. But overall, I think Kia has put a lot of effort into making this cabin experience seem more premium than the price would suggest, and the noise entering in, I think, is a big part of that. It just seems quiet in here, kind of feels like a class above.
Yeah, unless you really stomp on the accelerator, I think the engine is also pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, if you guys remember, back several years ago, Mason used to have a Hyundai Elantra.
Yes, many years.
And that actually did come with the same engine, and I think that it sounds quite a bit quieter than it used to in that model.
Now let's go ahead and get into our slam dunk and airball. Our favorite element, our least favorite element about the K4. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk?
So for the slam dunk, there's obviously a lot of things we're really liking about this new K4, but I think the thing that ties it all together is that you get all of these positive characteristics for a great price. So this is really giving you just fantastic value. We've noticed, our segment leaders, Corolla and Civic, have both been really ramping up the price in recent years, and this just comes across as giving you a lot more features for less money.
Yes, equivalent like Civic Sport trim level, not the hybrid version, would be around $2,300 more expensive than what we're sitting in today, and you're going to get a lot more tech features, that's for sure, in this. Now, on the airball side of things, one thing that this K4 is not offering that the Civic and Corolla and Elantra have is a hybrid option. We really think in this segment people are really looking for hybrids. They're not as concerned about performance. They want really good fuel economy. So I think it's a little bit of an oversight that we don't have a K4 hybrid yet. Hopefully they will add it in the future, but I think that would be a big opportunity. And speaking of that, we haven't mentioned the fuel economy yet. This vehicle is front-wheel drive only, so do keep in mind you cannot get all-wheel drive. Your fuel economy comes in at 33 mpg combined if you choose this model right here, the EX trim level. If you choose the very base LX, it does go up to 34 mpg combined, but that is going to be your best fuel economy that you can get. Also, the GT line models have not been tested yet, so to keep that in mind as well, that we don't have the turbo fuel economy figures just yet.
Now, we don't really have any curvy roads around here, but I do want to comment just a little bit on the K4's dynamics. As is typical for this segment, obviously this is a smaller vehicle. It makes it feel nice and tossable. In terms of the steering, it's going to be lightweight, but it's nice and responsive. You get an immediate feedback as soon as you turn off center. It's not quite as buttoned down feeling for sure as a Civic. That model, really kind of just takes the corners and goes into them really nicely. There's a little bit more body roll present with this K4.
As far as last things to mention, your warranty is going to be pretty good. 5-year 60 basic. You're also going to get 10-year 100,000 miles of powertrain, which is pretty much class leading. The only thing I will point out is that you're not going to get any complimentary maintenance. And now let's talk about pricing for the K4. That's one of the best elements about this vehicle. We're starting at under $22,000. Yeah, you heard me right, for the LX model. Now this EX is going to start at $23,990, and then if you go all the way up to the GT line Turbo, that starts at $28,090. So if you want to look at our sticker right here, we have the 25 K4 EX, $23,990. We add in the paint color, that's $395, $1,195 or $1,155 for destination, $25,540 as tested today, which honestly represents a very impressive price point, especially when you compare it to Civic and Corolla. If you're looking to buy a Kia K4 or any new vehicle, we would also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And now it's time to talk about potential resale and reliability for this Kia K4. First up, we'll talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this K4's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 49% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.1%. Now, it's worth noting that's pretty much right at industry average for all vehicle brands in the 5-year metric, and the 10-year metric, it is a little bit above average, but it's going to be less than some of the main rivals like Honda or Toyota.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that paints a more holistic picture. In this regard, Kia is rated above the industry average compared to all other vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values or reliability data, as well as our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new car is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the all-new 2025 Kia K4. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, especially because this is one of the first U.S. reviews of this all-new product, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this one, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.